And a very good morning to you from what is not a bad Manchester at all today. We've had a few nice days, so we're doing quite well. What I want to talk about today is something that is not new, but has been in the news now for about a week and a half, which is annoying me a little bit, and I'll explain why. And no doubt annoying a lot of you out there for a completely different reason. Now, as the title says of this video, it has come to the nation's notice that people who are on benefits, such as me, are getting very, very rich from the tax-paying people of the United Kingdom. Now, we know this. We know that this is a fact because of what an MP, a member of Rishi Sunak's government, actually said during an interview on BBC Breakfast back on the 29th of April this year. Now, he is the minister who has full responsibility for the Department for Work and Pensions. That particular department deal with all benefits that are available in this country. And surely so he will have his finger on the pulse of everything that goes through his department and will understand the minutiae of how every single bit of it works, how people get it, how long they get it, and of course the most important thing here, how much they get. So let's start off. I'm reading an article here, I want to read it out. It said, the facts. Mr. Stride, now this gentleman, Mr. Stride, is as I say, he's the Minister for the Department for Work and Pensions. So he's got an umbrella view of everything that's going on. Mr. Stride was speaking about PIP, Personal Independence Plan, as he laid out a consultation of proposed reforms on the system to the audience of BBC Breakfast on the 29th of April this year. He said, and I quote, "What we know with PIP is that it's a very blunt benefit. So you get a fixed amount of money per month irrespective in many ways of your condition. In some cases, that may be a condition that needs something like a grab rail to get into the bath, or various other appliances of that kind, which are relatively inexpensive. You might even be able to get them from your local authority or local NHS, and yet the PIP benefit is thousands of pounds a month. Remember that. It's thousands of pounds per month." The Department for Work and Pensions told PA News Agency the Secretary of State, Mr. Stride, misspoke. And what he meant to say was thousands of pounds per year. Now let me tell you what the actual truth is. I get PIP. And you can, according to this article, the maximum amount of money you can get per month is £798.63 per month. I get nowhere near that. Now let me fill you in. As someone who is disabled, who is registered disabled, alright, I don't use a chair, but I do have to use a stick. I'm very ill. I'm chronically ill, and long-term chronically ill. It's not going to get any better. Now let me tell you a little bit about PIP. PIP you have to apply for like all benefits, but the application process is quite long and drawn out. Firstly, you have to have a kind of medical to ensure that your GP, your doctor, is able with clear conscience to say that he can support you in your claim. You then get an application form, and the application form is, if I remember rightly, 18 pages long and double-sided. So 36 pages which you have to fill in. Bear in mind there are people like me who, because of my MS, I can no longer hold a pen, so I have to get somebody else to fill it in on my behalf. They ask me the questions, I will tell them the answers, so on and so forth. Once you've sent that application form in, you are then assessed and you get scored. Between 1 and 10 on different categories of how your illness or disability affects your everyday life. Now, once your application's in there, it can take anything from about 6 weeks to maybe 12 weeks, so 3 months, where you are no better off at all in any way financially, until they contact you. Now, when they contact you, two things can happen. They can either say, yes, no problem at all, we deem that you are eligible for PIP, or no, we're not sure yet, so we'll need you to go for an assessment. So you go for an assessment and you put in an office with someone, this is important, who may well not be a medical professional, so not a doctor. It may well be a paramedic or a school nurse. Now, how could one of those two people assess somebody with complex health needs such as MS, asthma, eczema, COPD, spinal disease, ischemic heart disease, that kind of thing? I'll leave you with that question. Once that assessment is done, that is bounced back to the DWP. Then they look again at your application form, they then look again at the assessment that you've just had done and make a decision on whether you can have PIP or not. Quite a lot of PIP applications at the moment are being turned down right across the country. People who are very, very ill, people who are as ill as me or iller than me, who may well even be terminally ill or have massive mental health issues, meaning that they just can't cope without support, and they cannot live a standard daily life the way we would all like to. If you are fortunate to get PIP, it isn't just there you go, there's your money, lovely, and thank you very much indeed. It is, you are scored, and within those scores you get different levels of PIP which allow you to do more things, different things such as a very basic care allowance. If you have to pay for a nurse to come in, maybe you can afford to pay for a nurse to come for 1 hour during the day, perhaps 1 day a week, to help you with your medicines, and or if you have to have dressings on your skin and that kind of thing. Maybe you can pay for somebody to go shopping for you, that kind of thing. Through where you could have a full-time carer right at the other end of the scale. You can also get a mobility allowance where you get money for taxis and buses and things like that. Or you may be even, if you are ill enough, to get a motability vehicle, which is what I have. I have a motability vehicle because my needs are so complex these days. And as I've said in one of my previous videos, no, you don't get that for free at all. It's a lease like any other lease. We have to, out of our savings, if you have any savings, put money up front, and then each month that money that the government give us to go towards that motability allowance, i.e. in this case for a car, we never see. We never see. That goes direct to the lease company, who is a charitable company called Motability here in the UK. You will find them online if you want more information about them, or if you want more information about Motability, have a look back in my library and you'll find one there. When I first got my latest car, there's one in there. The problem is that, as this title suggests, people do believe that we get everything for nothing, that we're getting thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds in our bank account each month, which just doesn't happen. People feel that we don't have living expenses like everybody else. Well, let me put you right on that. From the little bit of money I have coming in, I'm probably on less than £10,000 a year. Now, I don't know who you work for. I don't know what you paid. I would imagine it's more than £10,000 a year, however. So, not only am I ill, but I have all the demands that normal, healthy people have. And because I'm ill, my needs are probably greater. For instance, I get very cold very easily. So even though we're coming out of winter now, into spring, I still need the heating on because I'm cold. I have no circulation in my hands. My hands are constantly cold. My body's constantly cold because one of the things about chronic pain is that you burn a lot of energy trying to remain warm. Ask any expert who knows what exposure in the Arctic. You burn a lot of energy. So I burn a lot of energy trying to remain warm. So out of the little bit of money I get, I have to pay, and I do pay, for my electricity, my gas, my water, my council tax, petrol for my car, all my food, all my other expenses, just the same as you. Just the same as you. So, this nonsense that this man said, that who should have had the finger on the pulse of the ins and outs and the intricacies of his own department, was absolutely appalling. We as disabled people are put through enormous amounts of stress and hoops to jump through to actually get to the point where I am now, where I have a guaranteed set of money coming in every month to which I budget. And if I'm well enough and if I'm clever enough in money management, who knows, I might be able to go for a long weekend somewhere at some point during the year. The issue I have in this is that this seems to be a very insidious belief within the general public that we are all scroungers. Now, I'm not saying that all people who receive benefits get them genuinely. All people will pay, will kind of play the system if they can. And there will be a lot of people who never went back to work after COVID because they realised it's quite nice being at home. So they say they've got mental health problems or whatever, and then they're on PIP or some other kind of benefit, and really in real terms perhaps they don't need it. But believe me when I say these two things. One, if you believe that we just get things for asking for them, that's just not the case. If you have any problems with me, contact me, and I'm willing to give you rhyme and reason and legions of paperwork that show all the problems I have and how hard it's been for me to get to the point that I am now, where I'm relatively well looked after with the NHS, my GP, and I have financial support for my care needs and my mobility needs. If you have a problem with that, that's your problem. In fact, if you have a problem with that and you can arrange this, let me swap my everyday life for your everyday life if you are healthy. You can have all the hassles I have for the small amount of benefit I get. Let me switch it over. You come and live my life for a week. You come and live with me for a week and show the problems I've got. And see whether you then complain about the benefits system. This country is very gracious and very generous, but there's a certain amount of people who are bitter and feel that because they work every day, 8 hours a day, they're feeling aggrieved because there's people like me who've got the cheek and audacity to get benefits for being very, very ill. And they think, well, we get lots more because we don't do anything with our lives. When government ministers say the things like Mr. Stride says, it doesn't help our cause. Not only the people like myself who are in receipt of those benefits, but the cause of understanding, compassionate people in this country, of which there's a lot of them. Benefits are not there for fun. I would much prefer to be very well and not get benefits and be at work. When I left school when I was 16, I left school on a Friday, started work on the Monday, and I worked all the way through until I was 42, when life went completely wrong. Health went, life went, everything went. And it's taken me all that time. I'm now 62. 63. It's now taken 21 years. 21 years to be accepted into the system. To be understood that things are going wrong. Because unless you are in a wheelchair or you can't move or whatever, if you are unfortunate enough to be very ill but none of your illnesses are completely visible, asthma's invisible, eczema can be visible when you're very poorly with it, heart disease, invisible, multiple sclerosis, invisible but massively debilitating. So don't judge people. Let me ask you not to judge people. You could see somebody on the street who may well be in receipt of the benefits I'm on. They'll look perfectly well, but there's the pinch. They may only look perfectly well. So are we getting rich on benefits? Not at all. And keep that in mind the next time you might feel as though you want to judge someone for getting something that maybe you feel you should be getting. That's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching. If it's your first time here, give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. If you want to see the other stuff that I've got, have a look through the library. I've got lots of stuff there, even from my early days here on YouTube. And if you want to be notified for this kind of thing, tap the notification bell and that'll tell you when they're coming through. So for now, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.